And so what's the relationship between academics and practitioners? Well, they need each other. And it's a two-way relationship. So the academics, usually they need something to study and to learn from and to analyze, while the practitioners need the analysis that the academics have done so that they can learn from previous experiments. It seems to me, watching the field for over a decade, that the relationship isn't working very well. I see a lot of projects starting up and they're not aware, or they seem not to be aware, that there is a whole field of literature and research going on. And a lot of practical projects start with the same kind of ideas, and they make the same kinds of mistakes, and they fail in the same kinds of ways. And at the same time, I see in the academic presentations in these conferences very little that actually interests me or that seems helpful to real projects. So there's, I perceive this disconnect. And there's questions being asked at the moment inside RAMICS about how to improve that relationship. But I don't think we're going to explore those today. The object of today is to encourage you, the practitioners who came, to know each other better and to build working and social relationships in the hope that this will encourage collaboration and good relationships in the future. Because it pains me to see so many projects starting the same way. They're often very small, they're often led by one person, and we need to work together to give ourselves to other people's projects. And this is a problem with many practitioners. They start with an idea, it's genius, it could change the world, and they pursue it, but they're not considering the context and the quality of the idea and the relevance of the idea. And to build a movement, we need fewer ideas than we have, and we need to be able to select the best ones and give ourselves to the best ideas. For me, complementary currencies is a revolutionary agenda. A lot of people see them as a way to improve society in a very localized way and improve relationships, and that's very important, but my emphasis is on how do we change the economy, because the whole global system is about the economy. So I'm interested in especially how do we reach and help businesses to work together outside of the mainstream genocidal system. Because all the infrastructure that we are given in society is basically organized in favor of genocidal maniacs, in my opinion. You may have a softer view. But as a practitioner, that's the agenda for me. Everything has to change. In case of everything collapsing, I'm wearing my Doomster t-shirt. There's a very high likelihood, in my view, that the economy as we know it is going to collapse, or at least transform in the near future. And so the complementary currency agenda could also be part of looking forward, or the transformation, or making that transformation less painful for a lot of businesses and people and producers. And another thing we're doing is holding the candle. Sometimes I'm not very optimistic that the time is right to introduce or to welcome complementary currencies into the economy. I don't know when that time will be, but I feel part of my role is to keep the knowledge, keep pushing the knowledge out there for when, if and when, the moment is right for the knowledge to be more widely useful. Even then, I'm not confident that my work will mean anything. We could point to moments in history when complementary currencies have happened, but it didn't happen because of people like us. It would be very easy for a time of crisis, local governments, the mafia, or existing business networks to introduce complementary currency-like mechanisms and not to know that we exist. And we would find ourselves, as we are at the moment, looking at these projects and commenting on them, but having no political influence and no ability to help them because they're being run by other people with other motives. So I'm not sure really that anything we do is relevant, but I live in hope. Hope of being relevant and hope of being part of the solution. And I think practitioners shouldn't be arrogant about that. We don't know what futures might unfold, and we don't know our role in them. And we have to stay open-minded. Some practitioners are very, very fixed on one idea, usually their own idea. And for me, that's not the way to have impact. The best ideas need to emerge, and they need to emerge in situations. And we have to be open to that. When I was 17, I converted to evangelical Christianity. And the discourse in evangelical Christianity was that the revival was coming. And you could see it everywhere. And in church, they would tell stories about how whole cities would get converted to Christianity. But after a couple of years, it still wasn't really happening around me. And I started to see that that narrative was a narrative that lived inside the bubble of evangelical Christianity. And now I'm in a different bubble. What would you call it? Complementary currencies, for just a vague term. And I see the same kinds of narratives. Many new projects crop up, or people jump into the field and they tell stories that this is happening, this is growing, this is exciting, and to me it's just not. I've been in the field for over 10 years and I see these narratives coming and going, I see projects coming and going, but I see very little progress either in terms of the numbers of projects or even the quality of projects or even the longevity of projects. So I don't think that we can assume that there's this progress, and I think we need to be constantly reevaluating the way that we work, individually, but more especially together. Also, as someone who's been around for 15 years and a technical expert, so I didn't introduce myself, I make software for local exchange trading systems, and I'm very good at it. But after 15 years, I don't get offers of work. And it's true, there's not a lot of money being invested in this, but if there is, I feel logically, not selfishly, that some of that work should be coming to me, and it doesn't seem to be. So that's an indicator that I see that there isn't a lot of progress. I've made it an axiom that when there's money around, it never goes to the best place. The best place is, of course, to me. But that means that less and less I go around looking for the money, because money always, not only does it go to the wrong people, it goes to the wrong agendas. And if I'm trying to prostitute myself to get the money, then I'm not doing the things that I think are most valuable. And that's liberating. It means that I've spent 15 years doing exactly what I wanted, even if there was very little money to be found. Instead of money, we can help each other. A word about failure. I said that most projects fail, and usually before very long, and usually at the same time that the money runs out. But I don't blame the projects for failing, because I see it, everything in context. And for me, the context is not right for complementary currencies to thrive and succeed. It doesn't mean we shouldn't keep trying and keep learning if we are learning. But implementing a CC is a very difficult thing, and there are very few places where it's likely to work at the moment. Some people think if you change the money, you change the world. But I don't think that. I think that money is deeply, deeply built into our institutions and our nation states and our legal system. And yes, if you could change the money, you would change the world, but the money is not changeable, at least not from the grassroots. Maybe you can point to moments in history when the grassroots did change the money. Okay, we can look at the Depression-era scrip. There was a money desert, and the currencies just emerged. And maybe they would have changed things, but as soon as the governments got organized in the United States and in Germany and Austria, they shut those projects down, and we came back to a top-down genocidal money system. When I look at the projects that I think are successful, very often they have one person strongly leading them, but that one person is a multidimensional being. Because you have to be able to do, either as one person or as a team, the currency design, public relations, like communicating with the public and all your users. Almost always there's a question of software design, software maintenance, or software project management, and many people are not good at that and not experienced, and they don't know how to take advice or how to talk to technicians, even volunteer technicians. And so that's always a big drain of energy and sometimes money in a project. They have to understand the business model and manage the project like a business, or at least an organization, so you need those business administration skills. You have to be reaching out to people and communicating with them and bringing them in and training them. And there's always legal questions which you have to deal with as well. So it's very rare that projects led by one person last very long or grow very much. Can we move to the next slide? We went past that. I forgot I'd prepared slides for the beginning part. And another one. And another one. And another one. And another one. So here we are. To run these projects, at least by yourself, you need to be a multi-dimensional being. And the next slide. So here are some of my favorite multi-dimensional beings who are running projects that I think they're not always obviously successful, but they're the ones that I really, really support. First of all, Stephanie Rearick is an American activist, and she works in Madison, Wisconsin. And she started off with a local currency, and then she moved into time banking. And she ran one of the largest time banks in the United States. But then she felt that time banking wasn't enough. Time banking is very focused on the poor, and it's very focused on social interactions. But she wanted to include everybody and make things much more economically relevant. So she made humans united in mutual aid networks, and I support that. And one of the aspects of her multidimensionality is that, as well as doing all of this, with a lot of success in my view, especially in the time bank period, she helped a lot of young offenders, that's the American word for poor people who smash up bus shelters and then they have to go to jail. And she was working with them to keep them out of jail and to do useful things in the time bank. And that's very, very beneficial socially. So as well as all of that, she's a semi-professional musician and she performs wherever she goes. And the next one. This is Dill Green in London. He's building mutual credit services, and he started off as an architect, and he wanted to have impact by building great buildings, but it took him 10 years to build a great doctor's surgery, and he felt that he needed to change strategy. And so he got into, he ran the Letts in Brixton for some years, and he came back to that and to complementary currencies, and he started mutual credit services. But he's very capable as an architect in running organizations and seeing the big view, and intellectually he's building, I don't know because I'm an engineer, quite what these things are, but social structures and narratives and ways of explaining, and he's been able to reach out to a lot of people and start pushing those ideas where they're needed. And so he's working now, especially in Liverpool, to build a clearing system, an invoice factoring system with Tomasz and informal systems. And he's talking to lots of other people. So I support him a lot. Next one. I'm sure you all know or know of Will Ruddick. He's been working very alone, but he's very, very capable and very persistent. So he put himself out there in Kenya, and he's iterating through many, many currency designs. He works closely with the people around him. He now lives in a remote village, and he has relations with all the neighbors, and he's understood how to tell a story of the complementary currencies that fits in with local preconceived ideas. Maybe some of you were in the talk where we described the Mweria systems, and so Will's blockchain accounting system is now helping and reviving the Mwerias, and it's a kind of labor rotation system. It's called a roller in academic speak. But I would support whatever he wants to do, even though I argue with him privately, quite ferociously. Next one, please. And the last one. This is Tim Jenkin in South Africa. He has an amazing story. His life has been 3 miracles so far, and the third miracle is community exchange systems, where he wrote some software, and hundreds of groups from around the world have adopted the software. But it's been many, many years, and he's kept it going, and it's been very difficult to keep the software renewed and up to date and relevant. But he's been doing it quietly and thanklessly a lot of the time. And only in recent years he started to be acknowledged for the first 2 miracles of his life. A movie was made of one of them with Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter. It's called Escape from Pretoria. Tim's first miracle was to get himself in South Africa's highest security prison. And within a couple of years, I think, he managed to escape. But not only that, he locked the door behind him, and nobody knew he had escaped until the next morning when he was on the border, leaving the country. And Tim's second miracle was then to help Nelson Mandela get out of jail. And his third miracle is community exchange systems. And Marco is here from Community Exchange Systems because a team has emerged that wants to rebuild that and make it relevant and represent it to the world as a possible technical platform on which we can, on which diverse groups can cooperate. Next slide. So these people, I almost worship them, but I want to help them in whatever it is that they want to do. And I want to put aside my own amazing genius work. I put it aside to help them because I can see that these are the people around whom social momentum can be built. And I'm not one of those people. I'm socially awkward. I don't look people in the eye, and that means I'm not going to be the builder of a social movement. So I want to lend my technical skills to these kinds of people who I think can have an impact and who I would like to see leading. But very often I find I'm the only follower. It's like these amazing people and nobody is following them except for me. And I don't know if that's because I'm looking wrong, maybe I'm not seeing all their followers, or maybe I'm choosing the wrong people, or maybe it's all of your fault for not seeing and not following. I leave you to decide for yourselves. All of these people have been to previous RAMICS conferences, but none of them are in this conference. And I'm not going to suggest why. It seems a shame. Today I want to push you into another space of activism. In fact, it's this space. I want you to engage in this space with each other. I want you to give yourself to each other today in a way of building relationships, building trust. And when you do things for each other, you build up a debt as well. And maybe that debt won't be paid directly back to the person. Maybe it will be paid back to someone else. Maybe it will never be paid. It's not a serious debt. But I hope that the relationships that you build today will last. So I want to do something useful today. I asked you in the Telegram group and elsewhere, I think, to think about things that you need that we can do for each other today, and also things that you might be able to offer to each other. I've got some suggestions of those things because it can be very difficult to think about what you're actually good at that's actually useful. And it can also be difficult to imagine what you might need that other people can give you. So I came with some ideas. What I would like to offer is help with presentation skills. So if you give presentations and you speak too quickly and you look down and you're not good at the microphone, or you look away and so on, I will help to coach you today. But I'd like to hear from you soon about what you might be able to offer. It is more blessed to give than to receive. But for every giver, there must also be a receiver.
It's equally blessed.
I'm just quoting the Bible. It's food for thought, not food for debate. So what we're going to do today is maybe the first hour, I offer everyone 3 minutes to say what they might be able to offer and what they might be able to accept. And then after that, we will try to structure little groups of people helping each other. And then when we get bored or run out of energy, I think a lot of people want to leave early and go and see some of the sights of Rome. So long before it gets dark, we can be free to find groups and go and do some tourism. And maybe we want to come back and meet in the evening, or maybe we don't. But the main thing is enjoy yourselves and get to know each other and practice helping each other. Don't think about your own project. Think about what you can do for others today. But first, I would like to offer, I don't usually do spirituality, but I would like to read my prepared text and invite you to look down, maybe close your eyes, and let these words sink in. Again, this is not for debate. If you don't like anything I say, just ignore it, and that you could debate with me privately afterwards if I'm not busy. I am one of billions, and I live in one moment of eternity. I want to make a difference, even if it's only a small difference. The best ideas are not always the best strategies. Probably, I am not the best judge of the usefulness of my own ideas. Without understanding the whole universe, I can't possibly know what the best ideas are. The world is chaotic. There is no justice. I eat while others starve. I work while others get the credit. The wrong projects get funded, and that is the deep nature of things. But I am not here for the funds or for the credit. I have no chance of getting rich, and I'll be lucky if I even get paid. As an individual, I hope to relieve more suffering than I cause, but I will never know the long consequences of my actions. As a node in a network, I hope to amplify the good things and dampen the bad things. In the chaos, we cannot easily decide what to do. It has to emerge. That's the end of the meditation. So what we do to build the network, we build the links in the network, and that means relationships. And that's what we're doing here today. So the aim, I want everyone to spend some time working on someone else's project, not to put your idea into it, but to help them in the way that they think they need helping. And if you can do that once today, your mission is accomplished. But I have a small prize at the end for the person who receives the most praise from other people. So that will be our metric. 2 small prizes. And it's a bit arbitrary, because how do you measure these things? Okay. How many people would like to help with ideas for Valencia? Okay. And who else does that leave? You know.